One of the most unfortunate things about checking your blood pressure, and doctors never mention this, I haven't seen anything on the internet when it comes to this, but it's the elephant in the room. And that is the variability of the numbers from moment to moment, not just day to day. But let me explain the details of what I'm talking about, because this has significant impact on whether you're getting blood pressure medication for the right reasons, whether you should be taking blood pressure medications. And this whole diagnosis of high blood pressure is so fraught with, it's just bad. It's just really bad. So let me explain. Let's say you have normal blood pressure, but then you go to the doctor, you had some coffee that morning, caffeine raises your blood pressure significantly, and then you drive to the doctor's office, you're a little stressed, you're nervous, you get into the office, and now the anxiety starts to rise. Your blood pressure is going up. You get rushed into the room, the nurse slaps the wrist, that lady slaps the blood pressure cuff on your shirt, over your shirt, on the right arm or the left arm, doesn't matter. And your legs are crossed, your bladder is full, and you've got white coat syndrome. Your blood pressure is high, of course it's high. And then the doctor walks in and says, you have high blood pressure, here's 3 different medications. We'll see you in 3 months and check up on you. Oh, we'll send you for some blood work and here's a couple, injections. That's how most people experience the first diagnosis of high blood pressure. It's not the ideal situation, but here's the problem. You start taking the medication at home and wow, now you're getting dizzy, you're feeling faint, you don't feel good, the life of your personality is just dwindled. It's like someone just reduced your flame. And what you don't realize is you may not actually have high blood pressure because the blood pressure was only high at that moment in the doctor's office. Under normal circumstances in your life, it's not high. Even if you have high blood pressure, during the time of the day, your blood pressure goes up and down. In fact, when you get your blood pressure checked at your doctor's office, I would recommend that you request that you have the blood pressure checked at the end of the visit as well. And what you will find is the numbers could be totally different. Sometimes they're not that much different, but sometimes they're drastically different. If you do breathing exercises, you can lower your systolic numbers, sometimes by 30 or 40 points in some cases. You can lower your blood pressure by exercising and waiting a couple hours after you exercise, and your blood pressure will be totally different than before. The big issue with this, and this is the elephant in the room, that I use that phrase, but this is the elephant in the room. If your blood pressure numbers can be so drastically different at different times of the day, then how are we supposed to diagnose you with high blood pressure? I'll tell you the answer at the end, but here's the issue you really should be thinking about. Imagine if every diagnosis was made like this. Let's say someone comes in, they fall down a flight of stairs, and I take an x-ray of their neck, and I find that, wow, they have a fracture of their neck. I see a fracture of their neck. And then it turns out that they don't have a fracture of their neck. I'm seeing a fracture, but that was only at the moment I took the x-ray. If they do some deep breathing exercises, empty their bladder, don't cross their legs, I let them relax, then I take another x-ray and suddenly that fracture is gone. That doesn't happen because the fracture is either there or it isn't. Likewise, imagine if you went into the doctor's office and the doctor walked into the room and said, Mrs. Jones, you have cancer. That would be scary. That's a significant thing to say to a person. That's an important diagnosis. And then you find out that no, you don't have cancer, you just have white coat syndrome. See, if you took your blood test 10 minutes later after deep breathing exercises, the cancer markers would be gone. Now, of course, this sounds really jokey, but it's not. Imagine if your diagnosis was based upon some criteria that could be so variable throughout the day that you really don't know whether you have cancer or not, or a fracture, or any other diagnosis. This is a major problem because people can have regular blood pressure, normal blood pressure at varying times of the day, but then right now, I'm pissed off because this upsets me that we could take blood pressure and we could, as doctors, could be totally wrong in diagnosing someone. Just like I could be totally wrong about diagnosing a back condition or a neck condition or a rotator cuff injury. That's ridiculous. It's just fraught with mistakes. So, how do you know someone really has what's the true definition of high blood pressure? True definition of high blood pressure is when someone has a resting blood pressure that is significantly high. That no matter how they change their diet, no matter how they change exercise, no matter what the variables are, their blood pressure is always high. It's not supposed to be measured when you're having an anxiety attack. If everyone had their blood pressure checked when they're having an anxiety attack, then everyone would be on blood pressure medications because your anxiety causes your blood pressure to go high. But if you were to have resting blood pressure as normal, that's not what we're talking about. So it's a definite problem, and let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, because this is a significant thing that no one seems to be talking about, is the blood pressure is constantly changing. Imagine if I went into a room and I had my height and my weight checked and my blood pressure and my pulse and my breathing rate and my oxygen levels. And let's say they came up with numbers that were normal. But then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, they check my height and I'm 7 inches different. My weight is 40 pounds different. My blood pressure is 30 points different. My oxygen levels when I walked into the office was 98 and now it's 87. That's two separate patients. You would treat people differently whether it's normal or abnormal. And with blood pressure, the numbers can change like that. It's a significant problem. And so that's why I'm a big proponent of doing markers that are more reliable, health markers, not disease markers. So if you're interested in learning more about how to naturally lower your blood pressure, then watch this video right here at the end of the video. And I put a lot of effort into it. It's ways you can become healthier that will result in lower blood pressure in a natural way. It's not telling you to take drugs or anything like that. This is a natural way to lower blood pressure. So watch this video at the end. I put a lot of effort into it. It's long, take notes, but I think you'll become a healthier person and your blood pressure will then reflect that. So click the link.